Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I appreciate it. You're so cool, but you already knew that. We're going to go ahead and get Champions League out of the way on this Ultimate Sports League tier list, with it going straight into S tier. It is the most popular sport in the world with the best teams from the most successful continent of that sport playing against each other in its most beautiful format. The music, the presentation, everything about the Champions League is fantastic. It's going to go straight into S tier, but we're going to change it up now and switch to an American sports league, the MLB. So it's an American sport. I'm American, obviously, but I don't love the MLB, to be honest. The playoffs are fun. I think that in intense moments, it could be a really entertaining watch, but overall, it's pretty boring and not one that is nearly as fun as when you go in person to the events. But like I said, the playoffs are fun. The KLH. You may not know what this league is. Admittedly, I did not either until I researched this video. It's the Russian Hockey League. So they're headquartered in Moscow, and it's like a lot of the really far east teams in Europe. And I believe China is in this league as well. So countries around Russia and China and that part of the world in the Eastern Hemisphere are in this league. I've never watched it, so it's going to go into F tier. However, Formula One is going to go into A tier. I think American culture is just now starting to really get exposed to it, and man, it's super fascinating. Drive to Survive is a Netflix, I believe Netflix documentary on this sport. I really enjoyed that. Lewis Hamilton is an absolute legend. Max Verstappen, absolute legend. It's probably my favorite racing sport. We'll get into a bit more of why I feel like that, but the way the cars move, the way the tracks are laid out, it's really fun and really, really high octane. I mean, keeps you on the edge of your seat. So IndyCar is admittedly not as good. I went to the Indianapolis 500, as a matter of fact, in person in 2023. And I did enjoy it, but maybe it was where I was seated. I couldn't really tell what was going on. Apologies for my cat making noise. She wants attention very bad. And whenever she wants attention, she makes sure that I know she wants attention. This is Luca. Luca, we're going to talk about the Bundesliga next, but we're going to keep IndyCar in B tier. But the Bundesliga is very fun. I'm going to put it in A tier. Obviously, Bayern's dominance has been unbelievable in the past probably decade, other than last year, how incredible it was to watch Leverkusen and their unbelievable run of games that they put together to actually win the Bundesliga last year. But it's a very fun league overall with lots of quality that end up, I feel like, making their way to the Premier League if they're not at one of the really top clubs in that, like, for example, Leverkusen or Bayern Munich. Or Borussia Dortmund, for example. The Eredivisie is the Dutch soccer league or football league in the Netherlands. And I'm familiar with, like, Go Ahead Eagles, Ajax, Feyenoord as well. But I think it's definitely a weaker league overall. It's a smaller country than Germany with population, so that obviously has a part to play. But there isn't as much talent either, I don't think, going into the best of the best football, soccer leagues in Europe from this league, so I'll put it in B tier. The Euro League I have never watched as well. It's the professional basketball league in Europe, with its most probably famous alumni being Luka Doncic, who now is a Dallas Maverick and is an absolute bucket. Overall, like I said, I haven't watched it. I don't even know how I could watch it legally here in the United States, but it's probably pretty fun, as basketball is a pretty fun sport. The XFL actually no longer exists, so I feel like it has to go in F tier. The XFL merged with the USFL to create the UFL, which is the American Football League that happens in the springtime. So normally it's college football and the NFL during the fall, like right now, when from like August to like the new year, like January. But the XFL is like specifically for the springtime. I believe they start up right after the Super Bowl, which is in like late February, I believe, most years, maybe mid-February. I could be a little wrong on my timing there, but yeah, I mean, it's basically like the rule set is a little bit different, but it's clearly an inferior product to the NFL or even college football. Just American football to watch in the springtime. So it's going to be an F tier simply because the XFL no longer exists. Maybe if it was the UFL, I'd put it a little bit higher. The NBA is very fun, but there are so many regular season games. It's probably at the top of B tier. That's pretty hot take, I think. There's going to be some people who disagree with this, but the regular season is so long, similar to the MLB, it's pretty difficult to follow unless you're really, really invested in a team. Also, similar to the MLB, though, the playoffs are very fun. They actually have both best of series structures in the playoffs, so it really leads to super, super intense moments. And I don't think there's many sporting experiences you can get with a Game 7 NBA final, a Game 7 NBA conference final. Super, super intense, very fun atmospheres. The NBA is great. I just think the regular season is too long, and they need to make it a little bit easier to follow. The NHL, just recently now getting a little bit more into hockey. I am a Colorado Avalanche fan. I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, where the Atlanta Thrashers was the team that I was closest to growing up. They no longer exist. They were relocated to Canada. So I am an Avs fan, honorary, but I don't watch much of it, to be honest. I think it may be a culture thing, as I grew up in the southern United States, and hockey's a lot more popular towards the north region of North America. I have a train coming by, so I'm going to close the windows so you hopefully don't hear that as much on the mic. And we're going to put Premier League right into S tier as well. Super fantastic. Every year there's a race at the top, who's going to actually end up winning the competition. And then there's a race in the bottom of who is going to be demoted into the championship. There's my cat again. She's making a lot of noise this morning. But the Premier League is great. And the players, the stars, the teams. I am a Tottenham Hotspur fan, so we have many difficult times ahead, and we've experienced many difficult times in the past. But nevertheless, it's cinema every year. Fantastic sports league I have zero complaints, truly. The NFL is definitely, I'll put it in B tier as well. NFL Red Zone, if you've never experienced that, is a sight to behold. I feel like it could go A tier. I feel like NFL could go A tier, honestly. It feels a little anti-American to put the NFL in B tier. We'll put the NFL at the bottom of A tier. I'm an Atlanta Falcons fan. There's a trend going there. So we've had a lot of pain as well in our experience with this league, but super fun. The most popular sporting league in America and United States by far. There's big stars, a lot of start and stop in the play, which is, the game itself. I don't really like that much. The amount of commercials, like you're inundated with an hour at least every competition, but it's still really fun. It's still a spectacle. There's obviously the Super Bowl, which is probably known around the world, honestly, as a really popular sporting event. Nowhere near World Cup levels, but of course it's popular here, and the pageantry in that event is fantastic. The Europa League is not as good as the Champions League. If you're unfamiliar with what it is, it's the European competition where clubs go and compete against each other from different countries. So like a German team will play an English team, or a Dutch team will play a Polish team. And it's the level under the Champions League. So not the best of the best in terms of the European competition, but still a really fun competition nonetheless. This is one that Tottenham has more success with. We have a couple of trophies actually in this competition, specifically when it was named something else. But we're in the Europa League as we speak, and I'm crossing my fingers, I'm crossing my toes that we can bring home the trophy to end the drought. We'll see what happens. We'll see if it happens. The Serie A is the Italian league for soccer, or football as it's called everywhere else. Probably my least favorite. It feels mean to say, but it's probably my least favorite. I am an AC Milan fan because of Christian Pulisic, who is the greatest American soccer player probably ever. And he's been absolutely torching it up there this season. I think in terms of the top of the league, it's almost as good as any other league. But at the bottom, there's just so many random teams that you won't really know any of the players from unless you're incredibly really following the league. So I'll put it in A tier, and I think La Liga is just a bit better, as it has Real Madrid and Barcelona the brand, those massive brands, are able to elevate it, I think, just a little bit higher. Obviously, Inter and Juventus are huge clubs in their own right, but they're not in the same league, obviously, as Barcelona and Real Madrid. So I'll put La Liga there. This year, actually, is a really fun race, I believe, in La Liga for who's going to win the title. It's a great league that I find very fun. So I'm a bit of a weird American football personality in that I prefer college football just a little bit more. I played college football myself, so maybe that's why. But every year now they have the expanded playoff. It's just really, really fun. I think in the NFL, the way the sport is played, the players are so athletic and good in the NFL that there isn't as many exciting plays that happen, or tries, if you're familiar with rugby terms. Whereas college football, there is almost every week like some crazy, insane play that you've never seen happen before. I like college football more than the NFL, and I think it's going to go in the A tier. Here we have the MLS. The MLS is clearly worse than the Serie A, clearly worse than La Liga, but because of Lionel Messi, he has bumped it to B tier and staying out of C tier. Messi has revolutionized the league and has brought so many new eyes to it. It's our domestic league here in the United States. My cat is just relentlessly yipping, so I'm so sorry if you hear her, but it's going to go into B tier. And lastly, we'll put NASCAR as B tier as well. Definitely better than IndyCar. Yes, they are just turning one time or two times over and over and over in a circle, but I think it's fun, and because of that, it's easy to follow. So if I'm going to put on American racing, then I would prefer NASCAR. If you've made it to this point in the video, I appreciate you so much. You have no idea. Just check out some of my other tier lists that I've made recently. Doing it every day, just making some fun content that I like to make. Subscribe to this channel to make my dream become a reality. I would appreciate that so much. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you would change and where you would change it. Let me know also what type of tier list you would like for me to do next. I hope you have an incredible rest of your day. Thank you so much again. I'll see you in the next one.